Welcome to Live Daf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem and welcome back to today's Daf Yomi, Yevamos Samach Vav. We begin right at the new parak, which is 6 lines from the top of the Amud. Says the Mishnah, Almana l'kohen gadol. Suppose there's a forbidden union, Almana, a widow marrying a kohen gadol, or a grusha v'chalutza marrying a kohen hedyot. So she was divorced, or she had chalitza done to her. Of course, at that point, she is asur to marry a kohen hedyot. So let's say they do go ahead with this forbidden union. Now, the Isha has her own slaves. Now, there are 2 types of items that she can bring into the marriage. One is called nichsei melug, or in this case, avdei melug, avadim who are considered melug. And then we have avadim who are tzoin barzel. The Mishnah will explain, and Rashi will elaborate further, as to the exact definition and nature of these 2 categories of possessions which the Isha will bring into the marriage. So first we have melug, literally meaning scolded, like you would scold the feathers off a bird. It takes its the term melug is related to the fact that the husband sort of skims off the profits. So she brings in a field into the marriage, right? She owns a field, she gets married, she still retains full ownership of that field, it's hers. But her husband gets peiros, profits, produce from that field. That's the halacha. Sometimes you can have tzoin barzel, a different type of arrangement between the ish v'isha. She'll bring in the field, she'll bring in the avodim, and they will actually record it in the kesuva. So it's listed in the kesuva as something which was brought into the marriage. It was appraised upon marriage, and he takes responsibility. He looks after it. Any loss or gain is his. She's still the owner. So when she leaves him through divorce or death, she takes it back with her, but as long as she's married, he looks after it. It's like his domain. And that's why it's called tzoin barzel. Tzoin, the sheep, the flock of animals, barzel, which are like dependable and reliable, like iron. Basically means that she is fully confident and certain and secure in this investment, because he has to look after it. It's all his loss or his gain, and that's why it gets its. That's how it gets its name, tzoin barzel. Now, here we're speaking about in this Mishnah. We're going to focus on avodim, slaves. That's going to be the topic of our conversation, the topic of the next few dafim in this parak. Typically, conventionally, just as the isha of a kohen will eat teruma, she's considered kinyan kaspa, his possession, so to speak. Likewise, a kohen's avodim will also have the rights to have teruma. They belong to a kohen. What happens if wife brings in her avodim, her slave, her eved kanani, her shivcha kananis? She brings it into the marriage. Typically, just as she begins eating teruma, likewise her avadim as well. But we have many different cases, different variations of this halacha. Let's begin the Mishnah again. We have a marriage which is not acceptable. Almana, marrying a kohen gadol. Almana l'kohen gadol. Grusha v'chalutza l'kohen hedyot. So the fact is, in this case, although her husband eats teruma, but wife may not, because once she interacts with a kohen in a forbidden manner, she becomes a chalala. She's affected and tainted by that interaction, which makes her unfit for teruma. What happens to the avodim which she introduced into the marriage? Hichnisa loy avdei melug ve'avdei tzoin barzel. Both variations of avodim. Avodim which are still considered fully hers, that's the melug. He can use them, but it's really hers. Any gain or loss, any gain or loss in value, etc., is her business. Or va'avdei tzoin barzel. Those are the avodim which are listed in the Kesuva, for which husband takes achrayus, can they have teruma? It depends. Avdei Melug, lo yochlu b'teruma. The Avdei Melug, which are primarily hers, they identify with her, just as she can't eat, they can't eat. Avdei Tzoyin Barzel, on the other hand, they identify with the husband who's Kayin, yochlu, they can have teruma. And the Mishnah explains, what are these terms, Melug and Tzoyin Barzel? Ve'elu hein Avdei Melug. Meisu meisu lo, v'moisiru hisiru lo. Avdei Melug are totally hers, identify with her. If they die or they go up in value, it's her loss, her gain. Of course, although husband has to feed them, still they cannot have truma because they identify with her. What about the other types? The Tzoyin Barzel. First of all, what are they? How do we define them? If they should die, they're his loss. He has to compensate for that. If they should go up in value, if there's some profit involved here, it's all his gain. In this case, since he is fully responsible for their well-being, it's like his. They identify with him. That allows them to have truma, even in this case. Now the Mishnah will conclude with another two categories which are relatively conventional. Bas Yisrael, Shnisas L'Kohen, a perfectly fine marriage. An Isha from a Yisrael family who did not have Truma up until this point. She went ahead to marry a Kohen, upon which she starts eating Truma. V'yichnisa L'Yavadim, and she brought some Avadim into the fold. Whether it's this type or that, Bein Avdei Melug, Bein Avdei Tzoyin Barzel, Hare Elu Yochlu B'Truma, in both cases, they can have truma just as their owners can have truma. On the other hand, you have a bas kohen, shenisas leIsrael, an isha from a kohen family, although she had truma up until this point, but once she goes and marries a Yisrael, she has to stop right there. And therefore, her avodim as well will stop eating truma. And she brought some slaves onto the scene, bein avdei melug, bein avdei tzoyin barzel, whether it's these or those, they may not have truma. Let's take a look at Rashi, starting from the beginning of the Mishnah. It says Rashi, Almon l'kohen gadol, hichnis eloi avdei melug. Rashi will explain these two terms: Masha isha machnesas labala, v'shama loy lekabel olav b'achrayis ksuvasa. When Isha brings into the marriage and is appraised, shamaloi means she had it appraised on his behalf, so that he can be makabel on himself, b'achrayis ksuvasa, to take full responsibility for any loss or gain. K'moisha koisvin, as we write in the ksuva, we do it today. Uvada nedunya, this is a nedunya, a term for the possession that she introduces into the marriage. Dan ala slave that he brings in. V'moisav kenegna v'koisav ha'chakoil kiva olav ploini kach v'kach v'skuvasa, and they summarize. Okay, this is the amount that he's makabel on himself. This is called Kairin Tzoyin Barzel, because it's absolute, it's dependable, it's secure. V'yesh shemachneses mamen harbe ve'enu kesev eskuloi b'ksuvasa. Sometimes you have an issue brings in lots of stuff that's not all recorded in the ksuva. U'mashayeres la'atzma, and she leaves some out of the ksuva. Hey nichse milug, those are called milug. What happens there? Ha'bal oichel peris. The husband enjoys the fruit, the produce. V'akeren shelo, but the actual principle remains hers. V'akeren shelo kayim. V'meisu meiselo. If they die or lose value, it's her loss. Lashon Tzoyin Barzel, says Rashi. How does that term come from? Keren kayim. Where does Barzel come from? Keren. It's the referring to the actual principle, which is kayim, which is lasting, like Barzel. Shein peichas v'nifsad. She has no risk at all when it comes to these things. Shafilu meisu kula nachrisan olav. Even if they totally die out, it's his responsibility. L'shalom lokash Yevamos yigar shena. He has to compensate for that if he should die or divorce. So getting back to the first case, we have an almana with a kohen gadol. What happens to her avodim? All depends. Avdei melug lo yechlu. V'vishayin shel, they identify with her. V'chalala. Keep in mind, she's become a chalala. L'kaman b'gemara mefarish tama, as the Gemara will explain. On the other hand, you have a bas Yisrael. Shenisas l'kohen, perfectly fine. In that case, Afilu avdei melug. She'enon shaloi yechelu. Even the avdei melug, which aren't technically his, they identify with her, they can have truma. Why? Here's a chiddush. Dahainu kinyanai, because the isha is the kinyan of the husband, so to speak. She's his possession. And when she has a kinyan, when she has a possession, like an eved, that eved as well can eat by way of her. It sort of trickles down from the kohen to the wife to the eved. Dahainu kinyanai shekana kinyan. As we learn in the Gemara, the kinyanai shekana kinyan, he as well can have truma oich. Asks the Gemara Kasha. Ve'avdei malug lo yochel betruma. An almana with a kohen gadol. She has avodim. The avdei malug, which identify with her, may not have truma. Why not? Amai. Why not? Why don't we consider them kinyanai? The wife is kinyan of husband. Shekana kinyan, which acquired possessions. Who can eat truma? As we just had in Rashi in the Mishnah. The Sanya Minai in the Kohen Shenasa Isha. Vikana Avadim. How do we know that if a Kohen married or purchased slaves, Sheyechel betruma, they may eat truma? Shenamar v'Kohen ke yikne nefesh kinyan kaspo yechel boy. Any possession, any acquisition of a Kohen, whether it's wife or Avadim, they can have a truma. Umanai in Lisha Shekhan Avadim. What about if the wife purchased Avadim? Or V'avad of the Kohen's Eved, he purchased an Eved. Shekanu Avadim. How can that be? The Kohen doesn't have his own possessions. So Rashi and Tosfos explain, we're speaking about a fellow who received money from somebody who gave it to him on condition that your master has no access to this money, it's completely yours. In that case, he can use that money to purchase further. He purchased an Eved. Can that second generation Eved eat Truma? Yes. Sheyechle betruma shenamar v'koyen ki yikne. Ki yikne, Rashi says extra words. It could have just said the nefesh kinyan kaspa of a kohen. It says v'kohen ki yikne nefesh kinyan kaspa hu yoichal boy. We learn from here to add this case as well. Kinyan noi, a kinyan of a kohen who turned around and bought something else. Shekana kinyan, he as well can be oichal in truma. So why can't the nichse malug? Why can't the avdei malug of this almana l'kohen gadol have truma? She's the kinyan, and he is the eved is the kinyan of the kinyan. Answers the Gemara. Min ha-Torah. It's not permissible in this case. You know why? Because she can't eat, so they can't eat. Remember, they identify with her. She's sort of feeding them. If she can't, they can't. They can't be better than her. Kala oichel, one who eats himself, one who has access to truma on his own, machal, can feed further. Kol shein oichel, but somebody who doesn't have access to truma on his own, like this almana l'kohen gadol, who is a chalala, a machal, she can't feed further. V'loi, is that an absolute ironclad rule? Very oral. V'chlat tmeim, you have a kohen who's an oral, who can't eat truma. You have a person who's tamei. Kohen tamei may not have truma. She'ein an oichel, despite the fact that they can't eat. Umachil, they can feed their wives or children or slaves. Why is this different? Apparently, it's not dependent upon who's feeding you. Big difference, says the Gemara. You can't compare Hasam and the Aral and the Tameh. There's nothing inherently wrong with them. They identify as pure, full-fledged Kohanim. Hasam pu mayu koivlu. It's as though their mouths are hurting them. Meaning, he's not early, he's a Tameh. At this moment, for the time being, I don't have the access to Truma. But it doesn't relabel the person. He's still a person who has Truma eating rights. As opposed to an almana who married a kohen gadol, she is labeled as a halala who has no truma rights, and subsequently she can't feed her slave. Asks the Gemara, "Vari mamzer, she'ein oichel umachel." What about a mamzer, a kohen who's a mamzer? He can't eat. Actually, let's go to Rashi. It's not a kohen mamzer. It's this. Look at Rashi, about 3-4 lines down. Very mamzer. Interesting case. Bas Yisrael shnisas l'kohen. Now we know, before we start the Rashi, we know that if a Bas Yisrael marries a kohen, she can have truma. But once he dies, she can't. If she has a child from him, that allows her to continue eating truma on account of that child who's a kohen. Okay, says Rashi like this: Bas Yisrael shnisas l'kohen. Bas Yisrael marries a kohen. V'yolda bas, she had a daughter. Bas Nisis Mamzer, who married a Mamzer. V'yolda Ben, who had a child. Umeisa. And the mother of the Mamzer, meaning the daughter of the Kain's wife, passed away. Ben Kaim, but this grandchild's still around. Grandchild who is a Mamzer, is a child of a Mamzer, so he's a Mamzer. This Mamzer can actually be the cause of his grandmother's eating truma, right? Because grandmother was married to a Kain. Kain passed away. As long as there's some descendant, some offspring of the Kain around, whether it's son, grandson, even if it's a Mamzer, it doesn't matter. She still hangs on to her relationship to the Kain, so to speak, and allows it to continue eating truma. So you have a Mamzer, his grandchild, who cannot eat truma. He's not even a Kain, right? But since he's a grandchild of a Kain, that allows a grandmother to hang on, so to speak, to her former husband and continue eating truma. His grandmother, who was a wife of a Kain, truma, can continue eating truma on account of this Mamzer, la'achar misas bal, after her husband passes away. Why? Because she has some sort of offspring from the Kain, which she can relate to, which sort of allows her to hang on to her former husband. She identifies with her husband on account of that child or grandchild. It's not safe for the Perek, as we learn in the Mishnah later on in the Perek. But this grandchild himself can't eat. He's not even a Kain. Now the truth is, this whole concept didn't have to involve specifically a Mamzer, right? Nami kosher hava. Shnod Yisrael kosher. Nami ein oichel machel as im imay. The same if the grandchild is a Yisrael. So the Kain had a daughter, or married a Yisrael, or had another child, and this grandchild is the only one left. He's the offspring, the only one left, which allows grandmother, who was the Eshes Kain, to have truma. Same halacha, doesn't have to be a Mamzer. The Mishnah, the Gemara, chose to refer to a Mamzer because that happens to be the case in the Mishnah. But the point is one and the same. In any case, you have an individual who he himself has no truma rights. He's merely a grandchild of a Kain. He's not even a Kain. Whether he's Yisrael or Yisrael Mamzer, it's irrelevant. He's not eating, but he empowers, he enables his grandmother, the Eshes Kain, to have truma. That's a kasha. That sort of flies in the face of the formula that we presented, that only one who can eat himself, only one who is an oichel, can be machel. Here we have a case of a non-oichel. He has no rights to eat truma, but he can feed his grandmother. He can be the cause of his grandmother's achilas truma. Okay, so getting back to the Gemara. V'arei mamzer, she'ein oichel u'machel. You have a case of a mamzer, grandchild, although he personally doesn't eat truma, but he will allow somebody else to eat truma. Same in our Mishnah, where the almana marrying the Kohen Gadol, just because she can't have truma, why can't she feed her avodah? Amar Avinu, how could you compare? Kinyan oichel ka'amar. Over there, we're not speaking about acquisitions, avodah, possessions. We're speaking about a child of a grandchild of a. It's a different story. Here in our Mishnah, we're speaking about a new type of achilas truma, on account of being a possession, a kinyan, something acquired by a kohen. In this context, in the context of the kinyan, this certainly has to fit this formula. Only a kinyan of a person who is oichel. If you were acquired, if you are the possession of an owner who has truma rights, then you can eat as well. That's what we're speaking about. It's a whole different story. Because remember, this Eved is not a Kohen. He's eating because he's acquired. He's a possession. He's a kinyan of a Kohen. Okay, so if your owner eats, you also eat. Kinyan oichel kamar. Kinyan oichel machla. A kinyan of a person who eats. Yeah, so that owner can actually feed you. She'eina oichel, but if your owner doesn't have truma rights, such as in this case where the almana is married, she's the halala, she can't have herself. Eina machla, she can't bring about achilas truma to her avad. So according to this pshat of Ravina, it seems like it's midaraisa. The concept is minat Torah. A kinyan of an oichel, okay. A kinyan of a non-oichel cannot have truma. So that explains the halacha in the Mishnah. We have an almana married to a kohen gadol. Can the avodim have truma? Depends which avodim. The avodim that identify with the husband, the tzoyin barzel, the ones that he assumes responsibility for, identify with him. He's an oichel. He can be machel. The avad avdei malug, which identify with her, she's not an oichel. And likewise they. V'Rabba Amar midaraisa meichel achli. You should know in Torah, there's no reason why they can't have truma. V'Rabbanan hu degazri b'hu. Chacham decided, you know what? Let them not have truma. You know why? This will encourage the separation. It will hopefully bring about the dissolving of this marriage, which is a forbidden union, right? Now, monata kain gadol, right? V'Rabbanan hu degazri b'hu. K'dei she'toimar. This will evoke feelings in this Isha's mind. In her heart, she'll view herself as deficient, as the marriage as being inappropriate. Look, I personally can't have truma. Likewise, my slaves don't have truma. What am I here? I'm not a wife. I'm like a zoina. He'll come to dissolving of the marriage, which is great. I'll give you another reason why the avodim of this Isha cannot have truma at this point. She might continue feeding them even after her husband's death. Which of course she shouldn't. The only reason why they're eating is because of this marriage. She might continue doing so after death. Asks the Gemara, so why does this concern apply specifically to an almana with a kohen gadol? Move on to the next halach in the Mishnah. A regular Eishes Kohen. Isha from a non-Kohen family marries a Kohen. What does the Mishnah say? All the Avodim have Truma. Elamiata, according to your concern, in that case as well, Bas Yisrael, Shnisas LeKohen. Loi Tachel. She should not feed her Avodim Truma. You know why? Gzeiro Shema Tachel Achar Misa. She might continue doing so. She might continue to do so after her husband passes away. So why is there no concern there? Elam Ravashi, Balmona Kohenes. You're right. By an Isha, from a Yisrael family, there's no concern. You know why? Because she knows that she herself personally has no Truma rights. It's only on account of her husband. As long as she's with him, she'll know that. But in a case of Almona Kohenes, which means she hails from a Kohen family, in this case, it might lead to confusion as follows. The Asya Lo Yirui, she might conclude as follows. She'll say, Meikara Achli Betruma de Benasha. You know, initially, before I married this Kohen, my Avodim shared the truma of my family with me, right? Because they were my avadim, and I was part of a Kohen family. In Sibile Lahai, I married this fellow, this Kohen. Achli betruma de Gavroi. Here as well, they were able to continue eating truma, right, with my husband. Right? Again, we're speaking about an almana marrying a Kohen gadol. So she's a Kohenes from home. She always had truma with her avodim. She married the Kohen gadol, inappropriate union. If we are to allow her avodim to continue eating truma, she'll say, look, They were always eating truma when I was home. They continued when I married. V'hashta, now, after her husband passes away, she'll just continue on the same track. V'hashta hadri lila milsek hamaisa. She'll go back and revert to her earlier status. She'll have truma. The avodim will have truma. V'lo yada. And she won't realize, or at least she'll give the avodim truma. V'lo yada, she won't realize the mi'ikar le'shavisa nafsha halala. That initially, when she was back home, the reason why they ate on account of her was because she was not a halal. There was nothing wrong with her. She had not yet married a kohen in a forbidden circumstance. But hashta now, after she went through this marriage with the kohen gadol, which was asur, and now he passed away, she's back home, sure, but she's in a totally different place than she was earlier. She made herself a chalal. And a chalal, or chalalas avodim, cannot eat truma. So that's the point of concern. We're concerned about a kohenes from home who had truma with her avodim before marriage. She married a kohen gadol. She turned herself into a chalala. She can't eat truma. What about the avodim? If we allow them to have truma, technically they could, but if we allow them to continue eating truma, you know what might happen? She won't realize that her status, I should say her status changed. The fact that she turned to halala affects her avodim as well. If we allow them to have truma while she's married to this kohen, when he passes away and she goes back home, she'll continue feeding them truma, not realizing that at this point she has to stop feeding them. And that explains the halacha in the Mishnah, why the avdi malug should not be having truma while she's married to the kohen. Says the Gemara, that explains your case of an almana who hails from a kohen family. She might go back and continue feeding them. Almana mas Yisrael mekalamema. What about a plain isha from a Yisrael family? Concern doesn't apply there. She's not going back home and feeding anybody truma. Rabbanah does not differentiate between this almana and that almana. If we allow this one, we'll allow that one, and it's going to create confusion. Okay, so just to summarize, which avodim can have truma? There are two types. There's the nechse melug, and then there's the tzoynu barzel. The melug are primarily hers, identify with her. He doesn't have any responsibility as per value and damage and welfare of the avodim. Tzoynu barzel are secure as iron, as steel. Totally his domain. So we have an almana l'kohen gadol or grusha and chalutz l'kohen hedyot. Mishnah says the avdi melug may not have truma. We had several reasons. Either it's minat Torah, that was the first pshat Ravina, because an acquisition of one who can actually eat truma themselves, they can feed their acquisition, but otherwise not. Here the almana l'kohen gadol is a chalala. Her avodim may not eat truma. We had two additional reasons. Midrabanan gzeiros, either she should not view herself like a proper wife, and this way she'll just leave him, or as we just learned, because she might actually be a kohenes back from home and might continue feeding these avodim even after this marriage dissolves, which of course is also because they're her avodim and she's a halala. Now, of course, this only applies to the malug, because by the tzoynu barzel she'll realize that they were only eating on account of him, as long as he was around. So, as we say, by nichse tzoynu barzel, by the tzoynu barzel, according to all pshatim, there's no concern. They identify with the husband and they can have truma. We have two more cases, conventional cases. Bas Yisrael married a kohen. In that case, both the avdi malug or the avdi tzoynu barzel can have truma, because everybody's good, everybody's eating truma, husband, wife, and certainly the avodim as well. When you have a bas kohen married to Yisrael, on the other hand, she has to stop eating truma on account of her husband Yisrael. In this case, both types of avodim, whether it's avdi malug or tzoynu barzel, may not eat truma, because they are the kinyanim of individuals who don't have truma themselves. Itma, let's continue the Gemara. So we learned regarding the tzoynu barzel. Rashi explained for us, tzoynu barzel is something which was appraised at point of marriage. He was mekabel achrayus. Now what happens if the marriage dissolves? She gets divorced, widowed. She'd like to take that car back home with her. Itmar hamachneses shum lebala. She brought shum. It's a term for anything which was appraised upon marriage. So now marriage is over. We have a disagreement between husband and wife. Here, Meres, Keldiai Anina tell us. She says, look, I want to take the actual possession back home with me. That's mine. Sure, you took responsibility, but the actual thing is still mine. He says, no, it's the opposite. Once I took responsibility, for all practical purposes, I'm the owner. I'll pay you full value, but I'd like this item. I'd like the horse. I'd like the car. Hadin imi, who's right? We have a machlokes. Rabbi Yehuda Amar hadin imma, she's right. She can take the horse back. Rabbi Ami Amar hadin imma, he's right. He pays her the value. Rabbi Yehuda Amar hadin imma, she wins. Mishum shevach beis avia. It's honorable to her parents, to her mishpacha, that she brings the items back with her. It's part of the family legacy, family estate. It belongs by her. According to some Mefarshim, it means that she can say, look, I want to bring this into the next marriage. It's honorable for my family that their daughter comes in with these prominent-looking items. So on account of that claim, it's a rightful claim, it's justified, she gets the item back. Mishum shevach beis avia didahavi, we rule that it's hers. Rav Ami Amar Adini Mai, he's right. Kivin Amar Mars, we learned in the Mishnah, he takes achrayus. He looks after them. It identifies with him. If they die or they go up in value, it's all his. And therefore, Mishnah tells us just because, since he is the one responsible, the Avadim was speaking, the Avadim can have the Truma because they're practically his. Clearly, he is considered the sole owner, the primary owner, and therefore he's in the right. Amrav Safra. She's going to ask on Rav Ami. Miktani vein shaloi? Does the Mishnah then say that he is the owner? They're eating truma because he's their owner? It doesn't say that. It says he looks after them. He's responsible for their welfare. Nobody's suggesting that they're his, and therefore when it comes to this question of who should take it, he's gonna be on top. No. He's just a chay b'achrayis, and that in itself justifies their achilas truma. Really, says the Gemara, achrayis can allow achilas truma b'kalecha d'chay b'achrayusan achli b'truma. Is that a true fact? Does that formula hold true? Achrayis is the criterion, even without ownership. Really, Vatnan. We have a kasha from a Mishnah where we see clearly that achrayis doesn't allow achilas truma. Achrayis is not tantamount to ownership. Tanan Yisrael shesacha para mikoyin. You have a Yisrael rented a para from a koyin. Hareza yachi lena karshine truma. You can feed the animal these beans, whatever it is, this animal feed, even though it's truma, because the animal identifies with its owner. It's a koyin's animal who can have truma. Koyin shesacha para Yisrael, as opposed to a koyin who rented a Yisrael's para, even though the kohen has to feed it, he can't feed it truma feed because the animal belongs to Yisrael. Here we go. Even though he's looking after it, he's responsible for the welfare of this para. It's not considered his. It identifies with its owner. Clearly, achrayis doesn't allow achilas truma. V'tispra, really? You can't compare the two things. You can't compare the renter of a para to the owner of an evet. V'tispro nihi namid machay b'gneva aveda. Sure, the renter has to look after it as per gneva aveda. He's responsible if it's stolen or lost. But that's only limited responsibility. But in sehah, let's say something goes awfully wrong, it dies on him. B'kachsha, gets ill, gets weak. U'b'nifchas domeh, goes down in value. Mi machayev? Does the renter have to look after that? Of course not. So you can compare it to our Mishnah. Our Mishnah is speaking about an eved, which was appraised upon marriage, listed in the Ksuva, whose newfound owner, this husband, has to really look after it and is fully responsible. Anything goes wrong, anything goes right, It's his business. That's a different story. Our Mishnah is, if anything, more comparable to the next halacha, which discusses appraisal and full-fledged responsibility. It's more than just renting. Yisrael shesham para b'koyin. Yisrael who accepted a para with this shuma arrangement. It was appraised upon at the moment that when he took it, he was appraised and he took upon himself the full responsibility for value, for loss, for gain. In this case, we treat it as his. Shuma is tantamount to real ownership. In this case, it's as though the para belongs to the Yisrael, which doesn't allow him to feed truma. Conversely, you have a kohen shesham para Yisrael, a kohen who had this arrangement with a Yisrael. So once the kohen accepts this para with a shuma arrangement, for all practical purposes, we treat it as his. He can feed a truma. So if anything, this last scenario is more comparable to our case, to the Mishnah where the kohen husband appraised the effort, took it upon himself to look after him, to be responsible for him. In this case, perhaps, it's a different type of responsibility. It's tantamount to ownership. And getting back to our shaila, who gets the item back at the end of the day? Perhaps he does, because he pretty much had true ownership of this item, as is apparent by the fact that he was allowed to eat truma. So back to our shaila, who gets the upper hand, him or her? Yosef Rabba, Rav Yosef, they were sitting b'shili pirkei de Rav Nachman at the conclusion of Rav Nachman's shir. V'yasir ka'amri, and they were sitting and saying like this. We have a machlokes. Rav Ami says he wins. Rabbi Yehuda says she wins. We actually can prove both shitas from a brisa. Each shita can be supported from another brisa. Tani kavasid Rabbi Yehuda. We have a raya from a brisa to support Rabbi Yehuda that she wins. V'tani kavasid Rav Ami. We have another brisa which supports Rav Ami's approach that he is in the right. Tani kavasid Rav Ami. We have a raya that he wins. Avdei tzayin barzel yoitzin b'shein ve'ayin le'ish avalei le'ish. We know that an Evet Knani, who's struck by his master in his eye or his tooth, he goes free. Who's considered the owner in this case? Says the Brisa, Avdei tzayin barzel, an Evet which was brought into this marriage, appraised, evaluated, and who is placed in the domain of the husband, so to speak. He looks after it. He's achrai. Yoitzin b'shein v'ayin le'ish. If husband strikes eye or tooth, they are set free. He's considered the owner. Avaloi le'isha, but not when it happens through the wife. Clearly, we treat the eved as a possession of husband. That's the right to Rav Ami. Ta'anik vasid Rav Yehuda. On the other hand, the right of Yehuda, that we treat it as hers as well. Hamachnesas shum labala. When she brings in these items, which are appraised and listed in the ksuva, imrat sahabal imkar la imkar. If husband decides to sell, he has no right. They belong to her. Not only that, even if he added as well, according to some Farshim, it means that he designated a field as an exchange her field. In any case, it was something that he contributed as well to the shuma. Imrat sahabal imkar la imkar. He can't sell. And the Bryce concludes, let's say either husband or wife decide to sell it in order to support themselves, it doesn't work. They have no right to do so. This was a story brought to Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, but Amar, he said, take it out of the, annul the deal. Husband has the right to extract it from the buyer. Bottom line is, you clearly see in the Brisa that a husband or wife cannot sell these properties. Why can't husband sell it if it's his? Apparently it's not his. Amar Rava, Amar Rav Nachman, Halach Rabbi Yehuda, indeed that's how he paskin, that she gets it back. Amar Rava Rav Nachman, what do you mean by Tanik? What's the Rav Ami? What about the Brisa which supported Rav Ami, that he's in the right? Avagav the Tanik Havasei, says the Gemara, even though we have a Brisa which supports Rav Ami, Avagav the Tanik Havasei the Rav Ami, Mestavra, time with Rav Yehuda's argument seems to be more in the right, because of that, family legacy, factor, that's an overwhelming argument, and that overrides it all. This way she gets back whatever she brings in. Hahi itasa. Okay, having said that, we had a story about an Isha. The Ayla Layla Gavra. She came into marriage, and she brought in she brought to the husband Itztila as a robe, the milsa made from high quality wool. Big Ksuvas, and this was, of course, recorded in the Ksuva. This was appraised and part of the Tzoyin Barzel. Shachav, husband passed away. And in their agony, as an expression of mourning, Shaklua Yasmi, the orphans took this beged, this very beged, Uparsua Amisna, they spread it over the father who had passed away. And we know that anything which serves a mace becomes Asr Bahana. No, so what happens to this beged, which is technically hers? You would think they have no right to make it Asr. Amarava, no. Kamye Misna, here's a Chiddush. The mace acquired it, meaning it now identifies with the departed fellow. It's considered like Ta'chrichim, like shrouds, which are Asr Bahana. Oh, Malay Nani. Nani told Rava. He was the son of Breda Rav Yosef, Breda Rava, Rav Kahana. Sorry, he told Rav Kahana. How can Rava forbid future use of this? It's still the milsa just because it was wrapped around the mace. It's not even there, it's hers. Rav Nachman. Regarding that discussion earlier, who is the primary owner? Allah Rabbi Yehuda. She gets her items back. How can they take her item and make it answer? You can't do that. You have no right to take somebody else's item and make it asr. Amar lei. Rav Kahana responded, true. Technically, she should have claimed the item back. She is the primary owner, as we concluded earlier. Hadini ma, shevach beisavia, right? But here, they usurped that. They undid that. You know why? Milo Yimoida Rav Yehuda. Wouldn't Rav Yehuda himself agree? The mechusar gavaina. The fact is, you haven't yet claimed it. You have a lien, you have a claim on it, but you haven't yet collected it. It's still sitting in the other person's possession. Yekiva the mechusar gavaina, and still, since it's not yet been collected, b'rshusei kai, it's by him, which means to say like this. You know, if something is in your pocket, true, nobody can take it and make it asr. In the case of Shuma, in the case of Tzoyin Barzel, even though we concluded that wife has a full right to reclaim the item upon leaving the marriage, but that's considered no more than a shibud mammon. She has a monetary claim on it. Give it back to me. I want it back. But the item itself, until it was returned, is in the possession of the husband, or in this case, the husband's, Yarshim, right? She has a shibud. She has a monetary claim on it. She has a tzviya, but they have the item. And now, if they take the item and they apply a kedushas haguf to it, they make it hegdish, or they make it asr. These are ideas that pertain to the actual item itself, beyond the financial aspect, beyond the monetary aspect of the item. It's the item itself that becomes part of the tachruchi ames, or becomes hegdish to Beis Hamidrash. That undoes her monetary claim. That supersedes it and undoes it. It's a big chiddush. V'kiva the mechusar gevaina, since it hadn't yet been claimed by her, it's true. She has a claim. She has a shibud, but the actual item is in their possession. The fact is, they still have to look after it. They're responsible for it. Birshusei kai, it's considered in their domain. And now, when they spread it over the mace, it becomes asr. Rav al tamei. In accordance with Rav's shita elsewhere, the Rav hegdish chametz v'shichr mafkin midei shibud. Suppose Shimon borrows money from Reuben and he designates an eved as collateral, as we call it the apoitiki. You can claim your debt with this. You can collect it from this item. Now he goes and he takes the item, Shimon does, and he makes it hegdish. It's done. It's hegdish. Hegdish is kedushas haguf. It pertains to the actual item itself, to the core item. And that overrides. It supersedes any financial claims, any monetary tviyah that Reuven has on it. So that's the first case, hektish. That's mafkiya midei shibud. It undoes the shibud, the monetary claim or lien, which Reuven has on this item. Chametz is an example where you have chametz designated to the guy for a collection of his debt, and then Pesach comes along, we treat it as a chametz of Yisrael and becomes aser, because that's something that pertains to the actual item, the Isra chametz, that supersedes any sort of lien that the guy may have on it. V'shichrur is another example of a eved. So yeah, I let you take the eved, but I let him go. I set him free. Not exactly the nicest thing to do, but it's done. Because shichrur pertains to the actual item. The eved is now free. I'm the actual owner. You have a lien. You may have a lien on it. You may have a claim on it, but I'm the owner. I'm a shachar the eved. He goes free. And the malva has to go find another venue for his claim. So in our case, even though Isha has a full claim to this, it's still the milsa, but if they use it for tachrichim on the mace, that affects the core essence of this item. Makes it aser, despite the fact that she had a claim on this item. Amar Rabbi Yehuda, here comes another halacha regarding the shuma, the item which was praised upon marriage. Hichnisa lo shnei kelim. So this is Rabbi Yehuda speaking. He's the one that said hadin ima. She has the right to take back the item because of shabach beisavia. Listen to this story. Hichnisa lo shnei kelim. She came in with 2 kelim, which were appraised be'elav zuz, a total of 1,000 zuz for both. And then they went up in price. They went up in value. V'shibchu v'amdu al shnei alafim. So they went up, they doubled in price. Instead of a total of 1,000 zuz, v'shavchu v'amdu al shnei alafim, they're now worth 2,000. How much can she reclaim? Only 1,000. Right? That's the agreement. That's the point of appraising, right? She can come back and get the amount for which her item was appraised. So now technically she only gets back 1,000, but she wants both items back. So item number 1, that's worth only 1,000, she takes on account of the ksuva, right? That's her basic claim. The second item she has to pay for, but she can take it back as well, but she has to pay for it because it's her husband's gain. How come she has a claim to the item itself? Because of the svara we said, because it's part of her parents' and family's legacy. Because of that svara, she can get back the item. Rabbi Yehuda already discussed it earlier. What's the actual chiddush here? Perhaps I would think here it's different. When do we say she takes back the item? When she can come take it on account of the ksuva. But in this case, she has to add money. She's not just simply reclaiming the item because of the ksuva. Aval meitan dummy, but to actually pay Mishkan to take back the item. Here she has to actually pay to get back the item because, as we said, it went up in value. She has to pay for it. So perhaps in this case, who's to say she can take back the item? It's like considered like his. Aval meitan dmei, but to pay Mishkan to reclaim the actual item, who says she has the right to do that? Perhaps it remains by him. Kamashman. The chiddush is no. Even in this case, shevach by sevilla, such a powerful taina, she gets it all back, whether for free or whether she has to pay. Either way, she gets the items back. Okay, let's do a quick, brief recap of today's daf. We know that an isha of a kohen can have truma. She's called kinyan kaspai. The eved of a kohen as well can have truma kinyan kaspai. We learn in the brisa, just as they eat, the kinyan shekane kinyan eats. The kohen's eved purchased an eved, or the isha purchased an eved, just as their owners eat, they eat as well. And the Mishnah had 3 cases with varying halachas. So we're speaking about avodim, different types of avodim. We have the milug category, which are pretty much hers, but he can enjoy them. We have the tzoyin barzal category, which were appraised, for which he takes achrayas. Any loss or gain are his. What happens to those avodim? Can they eat or not? In the first case, we had a forbidden marriage, almana l'kohen gadol, etc. Tzoyin barzal can have because they're his. Milug can't. We have three reasons in the Gemara. Whether it's midaraisa, because since their owner, the wife, can't eat, they can't either, or it's midrabanan, she should view herself like a zainal, and she should just leave the marriage. We had another svara because perhaps she's coming from a family of kehanim, and after marriage, and after leaving him, she might continue feeding the avadim, which of course she can't, because now they belong to halala. After she went through that experience, she became affected by this marriage. She can't have, and they can't have. So therefore, any type of almana kohen gadol or grushan chutzlan kohen hedyot should not feed her nichsei melug truma, even though she's still married to this kohen. On the other hand, you have simple cases of Bas Yisrael married to a kohen, just as she eats, all the avadim eat. Bas kohen coming from a kohen family now with a Yisrael, just as she doesn't have truma, nor do the avadim. So the marriage is over. She wants back. She wants the nichsei tzon barzel back. He says, look, I'm giving you back, but I'll pay for it. I want to hold on to the actual item. Who's right? Rami says, he's right. He's a primary owner because of the achrayis, because he took responsibility. It identifies with him. He'll pay for it, but he can hold on to the actual item. As we see in the Mishnah, that they can have truma on account of him. Apparently, he's considered the owner. Rabbi Yehuda goes the other way, says she's right because of the svara of shevach beisavia, belongs to her family. She has a right to claim it back. We had two chidushim at the end of the Gemara. Although she has a claim, she has the tzviyah. I want it back, but as long as it's still sitting in their domain, her husband or her family's domain, the actual item is in their possession. And if they should do any sort of thing that affects the actual item, like hegdish, chametz, shichro, in this case we had tachruch hameis, it affects isra on the item. We concluded with another aspect of this halacha, that her claim is absolute. That's how we seem to paskin. Her claim is absolute. She can actually take it back, even though it went up in value. She has to pay the difference in value. So let her pay. But she can still reclaim the actual items because of shavach beisavia. All the best to you, and hatzlacha Rav always.